We're running a little bit late, so I'm going to keep people moving. Please welcome Debbie Slater. She's from the Northern Hemisphere. I do tell by that.
That's wonderful. Hi, everyone. Debbie Slater. I'm from the University of Central Lancashire in the northwest of England, but I live in Scotland, near the first European Dark Park in the Galway Forest, and that's what intrigued me when I first moved to the Institute about why isn't there so far. I'm not an astronomer. I'm not a tourism expert. I'm a legal expert. I teach law. So I was intrigued. I thought, why is it there? And what is it about this area that's so interesting? Initially, I thought it was just the fact that it's rural. Not many people live there. But I found out quite quickly from the Forestry Commission that there's much more to it than that. So that got me thinking, why do people come to Newton Stewart? It's quite on a good connector belt. We don't have a good infrastructure. So why travel all that way just to look up when they could go to other places? So really my research was related to what do tourists want to experience when you go to a dark sky park. Knowing nothing about dark sky parks myself, I wasn't interested, sadly, like some people, in the astronomical aspect of it, but I was interested in the human being aspect of it, the social research. So I looked at the different worlds of an astro-tourist and thought about, well, where do they come from? Why are they here? And is it just about astronomy? Other way around. Other way around. And I was drawn to the fact that most people are drawn to light. And I've been fascinated about things I've not heard of before. Because when I look at the atmosphere, I see that what they come there to look at is the light. And that draws a parallel between the Mars, which is a local creature drawn to light, charmed by light, and human beings are bewitched by light, even though they want to go into the dark, which I find quite fascinating. And from that point of view, I started asking them questions. I observed them without them knowing what I was doing. I went to several events, walked around with my recorder, running to the car to write up my book as well. Listened to what they had to say to each other. Most of them referred to the dark as an alien landscape. They talked about how in the past they were with family and friends and how that got them interested in what's in the night sky. But when I started to interview these individuals, they started talking about aspects of, well, we've never seen the night sky in that way before. So they were quite awe-inspired. As I said earlier, some of them cried. They were very emotional, and lots of them talked about the sensory aspects of being in the dark. And it was really quite interesting from my point of view, because I found it a little bit intimidating being in the dark on my own. So I thought, well, why do people like to be touched in the dark? And it's that aspect of reassurance. And people are much more friendly with each other when they're in the dark, particularly in a crowd of people that they don't know. So looking at how they're drawn to the light in the dark made me think, well, why does the light intrigue them in that way? And they might not know what they're looking at, they might be mesmerised by it, but they were definitely drawn to it and charmed by it. So I thought, right, I better start doing some research. I've been observing them, so I better do some research. And I found a few models related to astronautical tourism, astral tourism. Some of them were very much focused on astronomy. Quite a lot of the research was, and has been, yesterday, and I'm sure will continue to be today. But when I delved further, I looked at how this interest has developed, and I tended to focus on the aspect of social culture, and identified that as human beings, we have been drawn to tourism based on popular culture. So it could be literature from the 18th century, it could be films, very much media-driven, story-driven as well. And that, in my view, from the research I've done, has been informed by space tourism towards astro tourism. And there's been a lot of emphasis on them developing other forms of access to astro tourism that have informed things like the gaming community and virtual reality, because people want to experience being in space, even though they can't afford to do it themselves, because it's only a very small proportion of mankind that can travel to space currently. That might change. But then do they really understand what being in space would be? When I was at the Northern Dark Sky conference last year, Keith Moore, who was a pioneer in developing that particular site, talked about having a goldfish fall on your head if you lived in space. And that made the audience go, oh, would I really want to live with a goldfish ball on my head? And I don't know, most people wouldn't. Most people don't want to live without connectivity in space. So would they want to go into space where connectivity is limited? And the reality is, no, they probably wouldn't. But they do want to experience it in a way. So virtual gaming is one way in which an astro tourist can experience space. And also, when I was looking at my research in particular, I thought, well, should I focus on a specific site or a non-specific site? For me, it was obvious because I lived near Dark Sky Park, so I focused on a specific park. But I also looked at non-specific sites related to different astral tourism events, just to get a full understanding of what the astral tourist wants, and to try and define their experience and come up with a typology, which is part of my research, which I'm not presenting today. So really looking at the diagram, it's about the commodification of space, it's about how we sell space to individuals. The human beings want to buy things, and space is something that they want to purchase. People find that quite shocking, but it's true. And particularly if they can't experience it themselves. In the UK, only 3% of the population will see the Milky Way, which is obviously a very low number. And at the events that I went to, we were only allowed to have 20 to 25 people booked at the event. We wouldn't accommodate more than that. So all the events are booked up in advance, apart from one event that attracts hundreds of people, not thousands, as the non-specific sites do, to a sanctuary event related to light. And that's where I did quite a bit of my research, because it drew from a vast population of people. And some of them are what we would expect from an astro tourist. But they do reflect differently depending on that position. So, when I interviewed these astro tourists, there were 186 I narrowed that down to 29 positive samples. I looked at from a range of that population. I found that you can see on there about 35% were interested in seeing the Milky Way. And when I looked at the marketing literature for Dumfries and Galloway, I identified that most of their enhanced images were of the Milky Way. And I did tend to find a lot of marketing literature related to tourism is enhanced. And that's what drew people into the area. Lots of them talked about the cosmos. Quite a few talked about astrology and the birth signs and being within a community that could speak about that, which lots of astronomers found controversial. Some were interested in aspects of witchcraft, being in the dark associated with witchcraft. Others were quite interested in walking both during the day and at night, because it's a different terrain, a different experience, very essential at night. Others talked about nature and how that is experienced differently at night. I must admit, staying at Matthew Flinders last night, I'm not sleeping very well. And I woke up about 3 o'clock and I could hear all the wildlife in the background. And at some points, I'm a bit frightened of mice, I'm afraid. I live in the countryside, I'm frightened of mice, probably. So I'm thinking, are these things in my room? So I opened the lights on, but I did find a lot of our astro tourists were frightened of the dark. One example was a young family. They'd come to the area, they lived in London, they came up to Newton Stewart, they booked a cottage, middle of nowhere, bunch dark, night sky. 2 o'clock in the morning, they got up and left. Packed the car back up and left and went into Newton Stewart where there's a bit more light. So I asked, well, why did you do that? And they were terrified. The children were crying, we were scared. And it's because they hadn't experienced that level of darkness before. So they booked the cottage for a week and ended up starting in a bed and breakfast. Media played a small role in attracting individuals to the Dark Sky Park. Some were interested in extraterrestrial life and asked the astronomers if they'd ever seen any. Ghosts. Zombies was the weirdest one. Why would you expect to see zombies? Fairies as well, particularly as we walked through the streams at night and by the streams, some of the witches were collecting fairies. I looked at the fairies and they looked like twigs in a jar to me, but hey ho. But yes, it was quite interesting. Looking at it from a tourism theory, I looked at the work of Crompton and identified that most people were there for educational reasons, some novelty, some increased social intercourse, so getting to know people. Lots of people were interested in family relationships and developing them further, having special time with families. Some raising status, expressing their knowledge to others. Some about self-evaluation and contemplation, and it is a really good place to contemplate. I must admit, I'm a fibromyalgia sufferer myself, and when you go in the dark and look up, you do relax, and it takes some of the pain away from daily life. And others were relaxation and escaping weekday routine, which is quite common for tourism research to find that. But I haven't got much time left, so moving on. From the semi-structured interviews I did, the characteristics that pull the astro tourists to the area. The landscape to some extent, although many people look beyond the horizon rather than at the landscape. The destination is not Galloway. It was the night sky. And that's missing in a lot of tourism literature. Social characteristics were quite important, and personal characteristics, and the need to feel the senses. A lot of sensual experiences were experienced. And then the spiritual characteristics, for me, were the most surprising aspects, the links to nostalgia, transcendence, and belief. And those people that believed in astrology had the strongest belief systems of all. They really did believe that the sky was telling them what to do in the future, related to the past, and they had that very strong belief system. But nostalgia, for me, was the bit that rang more personally, because I remember being with my grandfather, looking at the stars, and every time you ask somebody, why are you interested in astronomy or the sky, they always relate it back to a person or an experience they've had, which is very strongly linked to nostalgia, and something that can be solved to some extent, because people see that in a positive way. Even if that person was somebody that died, it brings them closer to that individual. And really that's, so as far as I've got for this presentation today, I've done a lot of research. I will be publishing quite a bit of it soon, but I'm just finishing off my research at the moment. So I haven't. Well, any questions? Thank you. Well, it's quite highly rated and they've accepted it because there's not a lot of research out there about the astro-tourist experience.
No, when we publish UK?
It's an international journal. Well, in my positive sample, I made sure I had a good mix of ages because not having, I might offend some people now, but not having a background in astronomy, my initial thought was that it would be predominantly males between a certain age group. Sorry. Because I went to some astronomy groups and it did tend to be males of a certain age group. There wasn't a lot of female participation. But from astro-tourism, it wasn't. It was a wide mix. There was a lady there of 96 who wanted to get closer to God. There was a child there of 7 who was absolutely fascinated by the apps. So I made sure that I had a very wide positive sample so I could get the experience of lots of different types of astro-tourism. But I didn't find that there was any one group that didn't want to participate.
Please, we have